And I remember pushing myself away from my computer. You remember when Macs were like really fat? That was my Mac. It was big and fat. I pushed myself away. And all I could say to myself was, oh my God, I'm in the wrong business. And then the curiosity question came up. I was like, all right, well, where do I go here from now? Like, I got to get in that business. I got to be selling to business owners. Like, I got to be doing something different because this business isn't going to like give me the vision in my head and blah, blah, blah. And so, long story short, I went to them. And my first question I asked was, hey, can I work for free?
Welcome to the Ed O'Keefe Show. Transform your mind, accelerate your business, energize your body, and inspire the world. Now here is your host, Ed O'Keefe.
Hey, it's Ed O'Keefe, and welcome to another episode of the Ed O'Keefe Show. Today is a special day. Here's why. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of a recent seminar I did for my clients, and specifically why I'm excited for you to hear is the reason why I chose the market and started the businesses that I started. You'll hear some stories that I rarely ever have shared, probably haven't shared in public except in a few rare cases with a small group of clients. But what I really want to get across is the structure and rationale behind penetrating really good opportunities and finding them. And then when you find them, what do you do with it? And what traps do you avoid while doing it? So that's it. I appreciate you. If you like it, share it. Also, we have the October summit coming up, the Mega Summit, the Time Collapsing Mega Summit, first one ever. And you can check it out at timecollapsing.com or timecollapsingacademy.com. And you'll see all the world-class speakers that I bring in there. So that's it. Dive in. Look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.
Starting question is, am I open to a possibility that the organizational structure or the thing I'm doing now is not where I'm going to be in 1 year, and I'm okay with that? And so I have always been a reverse engineer. I've always been like, hey, I look at what other people are doing, I model it, and bring it backwards. But the problem with that slightly is that you're only looking at what has already existed and what has been in the past, okay? Some scary stats. So 3 years ago, when we were growing our supplement business, 87 to 90% of our traffic was desktop traffic. Nowadays, over 50% of it's mobile, right? So Vinny's saying more. If you're not evolving with that, you're out of it, right? What else do I want to say on this? The other thing that happens too, which is I think this is where you just got to be different, is do you want to have a business that's so replicatable? So for us, we were doing a lot of email solo ads. We were doing a lot of, where Mike's software really sucks is that guys who know how to use it can be running their same banner ads in a very quick amount of time, going after the same thing. So I'm looking at a lot of the guys in our supplement business who just kind of ripped off parts of our offers, and they're going to the same traffic patterns. The only thing that's doing right now is it's ensuring that everybody is now staying smaller, right? Because they're just all chipping away and at each other's messaging, right? So it's nothing to be mad at. It is what it is, right? Now, here's a ninja trick for anybody who's doing reverse engineering. Okay, I'll give you a good one at the beginning of the day. Mike, is there any tools that can replicate, Mike's behind you, Anna, at the granular level for social Facebook ads right now? Is there any tools that are really, really good at it?
If I could get you a list, I don't know them offhand. They're kind of under the radar because Facebook doesn't want you crawling their site behind the logins, but there are some that exist.
Okay.
Yeah, I can get you a list.
That's fine. So, but what my point is so that what most people aren't willing to do is create social profiles for every age demographic, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, female, and then you create social profiles for 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, male. And then you start clicking like on a lot of the demographics and areas of the things you want. And I'll tell you one thing. I started doing this. there's a lot of offers doing over 1 million visitors a month that no one knows about that are sitting in those pockets. Okay? So if you want to see what people are buying, it's right there, but it's a little bit of grunt work. Most people aren't willing to do that. Okay? A lot of people are asking me questions like in the Facebook or in this on the health supplement business, because we grew ours. What's the best way to find out what's working? So many guys know how to reverse engineer email now. So many guys know how to do that. So that strategy right there is key to doing that. Number 2, am I open to reevaluating how my business is structured and how I am accustomed to operating so that I can free up time and space and creative energy? Now, here's the thing. I don't know about you, but this is how my business has gone. I'll give you a couple quick examples. Is there a way to just do this real quick? When we were in Dentist Profit, so my first breakthrough, which we'll go into a little bit depth, was I was doing this mental toughness training stuff. Have any of you guys read this about me or anything like that? Or should I go in, like where I was doing, from age 23 to 27, I was broke, okay? And I was coaching volleyball. I left college thinking that I was going to be the next Tony Robbins, the next Jack Canfield, who's the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I was so motivated about this because I thought this was easy. And every single thing I read said, well, if you set goals and if you visualize, and if you take action and you never give up, you're going to be successful. Well, the problem with that is that might take a long, long time if you don't have some of these other strategies, right? So at 23, I told my parents, I'm not going into nursing, which is what I got my degree in. I'm going to go out and I'm going to be a millionaire. I had pictures of Oprah around my house because I was going to be on the Oprah show. My mom was like, what are you doing? Go get a job. And she thought I was weird. She's like, you need to come back down to reality. And I was like, you need to face the new reality, Mom. You know, like, it was like, you know, I was like the broke 23, 24-year-old in the basement who had a nursing degree, and everyone in my blue-collar family who I was the first to graduate was like, what a loser. He's the only one who's ever graduated. He's living in Mom and Dad's basement, not working. I was working on my business. I had no customers, I had no money, I had nothing, but it was good. So I did. I rigged up the credit cards to go to Tony Robbins events. They're so good at milking you. Tony does the whole pitch like, it doesn't matter if you don't have any money on your credit cards. Just borrow his. Yeah, get it. Call them up right now and get an extension. It was a great sales pitch. But what I did what was really cool at the time is I stumbled across neuro-linguistic programming. I stumbled across all this really high-level mental training skill sets. And so going to the whole idea of like, are you open to creating up space in your life? So Jesse Itzler, who we're going to talk about in a minute, I'll show you a video of him. He has 3 hours that are his. No one's allowed to interrupt him. His wife's not allowed to interrupt him unless it's an emergency. His staff knows that they can't mess with him. He has 3 hours by himself every day. I was reading up all this on Google X, like how Google X creates these incubators inside Google to constantly innovate. And the thing is that they create the space and time outside of their day-to-day operational structure, right? So, like most of us in the room who are coming here to learn how to get the next leap and breakthrough have not created this space to do that. We don't have it. We're too bogged down fighting the day-to-day, am I right?
Yes.
So one of the big decisions you got to make, otherwise we're just fooling ourselves, is am I willing to reevaluate how I'm operating and how everyone operates around me so that I can create the next 10x thing. And I hate using the word 10x, but we're going to use it anyway. Because it might be 100x, it might be 5x, it might be 2x, right? It could be slight edge, 3% x, right, over time. But Brian Tracy asked a great question, which is, if you think about where you want to be in 3 years, 1 year from now, why are you not already there? I know Olympics, you got to wait for it. It's time, it's on the calendar, but why are we not already there? And you're going to have justifications come in your head right now. You're going to be like, well, because of this, Ed. Well, no, just suspend that for a moment. Like, what if we were already there? What would happen, right? So the coolest thing about being broke is I got to go get trained by people, right? And so I decided to create like this info business where I was selling ebooks, right? $39, $49, $97. I was bartending on Mondays, Thursdays, and then when I could pick up like a Friday night, I'd bartend, and then hopefully I'd get lucky at like a bar later and like think I was really cool. That's supposed to be chuckles because you know that didn't happen. But one of the things that happened is, what's that? Yeah, only you would know, Vinny. Is that I remember I made $76 on a Monday, and I was like, you know what? The day my business makes more than $76, I'm done. And so all of a sudden, what was really interesting around this time, I shared the story the other day, I'll share it right now, is the restaurant bar came to me and they were like, hey, we want you to be a manager. And all I could do at that moment was think, cool, Christmas is coming up, I'm guaranteed to make X dollars per hour. I started doing the math in my head, I'm like, this will be a great Christmas, blah, blah, blah. And then a friend of mine came up to me who runs a bar, and he says, look, the best job in a bar is the bartender. Never give that up. I listened to him. Went back, said, no, can't do it. Within 2 weeks of that, I kept grinding away on this thing. All of a sudden, my business was making over $100 a day. Doesn't sound like a lot of money, but I was like, I'm out of here. I quit the job. If I took the manager job, seeking security, what would have happened, right? Mental space would have been in a different place. So all of a sudden, this business starts going okay. In the first year, we did about $86,000. Before you say, Ed, that sounds decent, you're moving along, there was no profit there. I was spending probably $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year on education. I totally bought into that concept of like, hey, surround yourself with the 3 to 5 people, go hire experts. I met Randy Davis. Randy's back there. Randy, raise your hand right along this time. Randy's, we're going to have the mic in a little bit, but I saw an ad in the National Speakers Association, and on the back of the ad was this guy sharing how you can slash your taxes, organize your business in such a way that the government doesn't get half your business, all this cool stuff for millionaires, right? And how to become a millionaire in 7 years or less. Well, the next day, literally, I show up at a National Speakers Association to learn everything you're not supposed to do in speaking, but that's what they teach. And it's so freaking true. The shirt I wore was my nicest shirt I had, was too short underneath my things. I had this jacket that was totally generic. If you looked at me, you'd be like, did you go to Payless and buy your stuff? And I'd be like, what are you talking about? I was at Kmart. So anyhow, so I wrote a check. Thank God they didn't ask for a credit card or cash or anything like that. I wrote a check, and I remember handing the check over for the day, and I don't know if this will, like in my head, I'm like, hopefully they don't run it right now because it'll probably bounce. I walked in, sat down, I look up, see this good-looking man a few euros back. I stand up and I walk over, my naive 24, 25-year-old self. I'm like, hey, I'm Ed O'Keefe. I'm not qualified to be a client yet, but I will be someday. I just want to say I liked your article because I didn't even know it was an ad. Yeah, I was like, yeah, sorry. And so when we went into the on the break, Randy came back up to me and he was like, well, hey, we started talking. He's like, well, hey, have you ever bought anything from Dan Kennedy about direct response marketing? I'm like, you know what? I just did. And something, I guess, well, I'll give you time later, Randy, or something like that, but like something, he took me under his wing and was like, look, I like your thing, whatever, and it was just kind of a beginning. So now we're 20 years later, we're still friends. He's helped me out tremendously many times over. But it was like one of those things where like this broke period was I was out there hustling, and like that was a gateway to a new world. It was validation, like, okay, cool, this direct response marketing stuff you're doing is right. So I started doing this, boom, we got there, wasn't making any money yet. So at the time, it was the first like online forum that two dudes like popped up. And I was in, man. I was buying everything I could possibly buy. And long story short was I got an email, and they were selling $99 a month membership to a software. Now, I know like this sounds like archaic, right? For those of you guys who've sold like continuity or softwares or whatever. But back then, forced continuity was like was brand new. Everyone was wondering if you'd get arrested if you had it. And when I got that email of like $99 a month, these guys are kind of famous because I thought they were famous. I did the math in my head and I was like, wait, $99 a month. If they get 1,000 guys in this, they're gonna be doing 100 grand a month. And here I am selling $39 frickin' ebooks to like coaches who are broke. And I remember pushing myself away from my computer. You remember when Macs were like really fat? That was my Mac. It was big and fat. I pushed myself away. And all I could say to myself was, oh my God, I'm in the wrong business. And then the curiosity question came up. I was like, all right, well, where do I go here from now? Like, I got to get in that business. I got to be selling to business owners. Like, I got to be doing something different because this business isn't going to like give me the vision in my head and blah, blah, blah. And so, long story short, I went to them, and my first question I asked was, hey, can I work for free? And, you know, in Time Collapsing the book, one of the things I'm probably going to talk about is you should never take a job ever. You should work for free. Just go work for free. Like, I'd rather go like if I was broke today, like I've already told, I shot a video on this. I would like with this room right here, I would just step back and I'd be like, all right, what does he need? What does she need? What does he need? And I would go through it and I'd be like, all right. And then I'd go, who can I work for free and then make them a ton of money and then by doing so, be a part of something great, right? You guys all get that concept. So I went to them and I was like, hey man, can I work for you guys for free? And they're like, no, we don't do that. And all right, that kind of sucks. And then they're like, well, but we sell licensing rights to things. And I was like, all right. Well, coincidentally, because I didn't have any money, so I guess this is one of the first times I, quote unquote, might have borrowed money, but I didn't borrow money. My parents gifted me $10,000 because they're getting older and stuff like that. I could go into more story, whatever. My dad won a lawsuit, whatever. Good. So I had a little bit of cash, paid off my car, which, knowing Uber, I could have just rented now. But like, I took $3,000, bought the license for 10 grand. And they said, hey, go in and research like all these markets. And go through the yellow pages and go one by one by one by one. Now these guys had already done good in the chiropractic market, the real estate market. There was already guys killing it back then in these markets, right? Now, time collapsing strategy that I live by is that if someone tells me who I respect, mentor, and want access to do something, within 24 hours, it's got to be done. Why do you do that? Because nobody else does this. There's so much frickin' free stuff out there that guys are like just information like, accumulators, but there's very little executors. Within 24 hours, I went through the whole yellow pages and I marked it. And I remember my girlfriend at the time was like, what are you doing? You know, you're whatever. Yeah, you're gone. But anyhow, didn't take long. But I went through every single one. I was like, okay, realtors had 40 pages, chiropractors had 20 pages of yellow page ads. And I went through them. Plumbers had this and this and this. And what I was looking for was, you guys could probably do the math on this, right? Is I was looking for the number of pages of people who were advertising, because we were going to sell how to do advertising. Well, anyhow, we stumbled across dentists. Why do we do dentists? Because there's a lot of people advertising. When I got all the trade magazines, there was a lot of people selling how to grow your practice. So they were buying it. That was the thing. The other correlation there, I don't want to assume, white collar market, have lots of money, don't know how to advertise. That was why we chose that market, okay? Duke is in that market right now, working with a doctor in there, selling $65,000, $69,000, $70,000 a year coaching programs, cold. Guys come in, they buy 70, they don't even know them until, they do the information marketing, but it's still a good market. And I just jumped right in, full in. Okay, so time collapsing strategy, we'll go over this, but here's the question. Where can you license something, buy a company or the rights to have instant credibility? And before you like negate it, here's the other thing I think of. Dan Reutman, does anyone know Dan? 2 people. Awesome guy. Spoke at our last mastermind meeting, and he was like, didn't he started this in his like college dorm, right? College dorm was into like the language business, right? Like, or like how to like translation business stuff. Yeah, I'll get to. I was gonna get the punchline. You know, it's like. That's right. You kind of build a little suspense because, you know, I see some guys drifting off. I got to pull them back in a little bit. No, but so he started doing this. He bootstrapped the whole thing, and then he licensed the Pimsleur approach. You guys familiar with that? Grew it from 0 all the way up to $70 million a year. $80 million a year, and bootstrapped the entire thing. And so he licensed it. Here's the crazy thing. He never owned the information at all. Weren't they trying to buy it and it just became a cluster?
The story is they tried to buy it, then they thought...
Can you guys get him a microphone, please, real quick?
Yeah.
No, but we need it for recording, though.
So Dan will be okay with me telling this little bit of the backstory. So he tried to buy it, was their largest driver of leads and revenue. They decided that it was more important in their hands to own it. Dan then decided to pull away from it because he couldn't buy it since he decided he couldn't own it. They went from 80 million in revenue to south of 15 million in revenue. And Pimsleur went like off the map. It was number 1 in its educational area of learning, and now it's, according to Dan, it's not even thought of as an idea any longer. So they've literally made themselves extinct because they took the marketing arm of their company and said no to them.
Wow.
And so it's crazy story. So he ultimately didn't sell it. Now he made some great cash flow off of it, but it's a great example of, you know, you built a business and you don't even own the technology.
Yeah.
And, you know, see what happens there.
Awesome, thank you. Cool. Over here. In. Pass it over. Yeah, Thad, can you help Mike run, please?
I can talk for a second about licensing stuff incorrectly with the water stuff.
Tell everyone what you do, because you're crushing it right now.
We were. I left. So
Where's do we have him on film? Are we just good? All right.
Yeah, so I left last week, actually.
Nice, glad you're here.
Yes, me too. It's just for me. Nobody else is benefiting from me being here.
We are.
You guys, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I talked to Dan at the last one, and he called that like his $100 million mistake. And you were completely correct, Vinny, when you told us everything we should have done, or you told me that we should listen to you for what we should have done. Then the company sort of imploded, but... Yeah.
What do you, no one knows what you do, because even though
I drink toilet water primarily.
You're an internet sensation right now.
I primarily drink toilet water. No, so we had this water pitcher that just took off. We went from, I think it was basically, in a year and a half, we went from nothing to, so we had about 10 million from the survival business. That sort of dropped off. We did 18 million in revenue last year, and we had 15 million scheduled in rebills with 0 new customers coming in whatsoever.
Yep.
And it's now basically completely imploded from the inside, which actually wasn't so much the structure of that as the operations guy basically not giving refunds for 60 to 75 days because of an office manager screwing up. But and then the owner left, and I mean it was a clusterfuck. But it basically, by building somebody else's product into our infrastructure, and I think they had done about $200,000 in sales, and we did $1 million in the first month. And so they didn't know how to market it. They had this phenomenal product, and we basically, built this brand out that they would get all sorts of trickling in sales. I mean, not trickling in, tons of people would buy stuff from their site, they'd buy it on Amazon. So the model was, holy shit, we're selling so much stuff. This is fantastic. And we just started hitting all the rebills are coming in, but basically merchant account issues and stuff because of, well, if you don't give people refunds, they're not exactly excited. So I mean, I think it's an amazing model to test and find out if it's viable, and then also not build at the speed that we built because we outgrew our infrastructure. But had that issue not happened, we'd still be going, and it would probably have gone from 18 to 30 million up to maybe 50 this year. So it could have worked, but realistically at this point we should have built out our own product. But so, you know, the licensing part is obviously super viable to get it going, but really important to be careful not to build a massive brand for someone else.
Yeah, and this is perfect timing. So like what happened there, so I want to go over two concepts. One is, so I was young and naive. So what happened was I signed a deal that gave them 10% of gross revenue. Now, if any of you know, like 10% of gross revenue might actually be all your profit, especially in the first couple of years, you know? And so so the reason I don't even give them any credit on film is because they were totally, I was the naive guy, and they were totally aware of it. You know, they knew that. God bless them. I'm glad the FTC has found them and made sure they are really well taken care of in some White House prison or some crap like that. Yeah. This was the first time in my life, though, and Joe Hanley helped me out a ton back then with that situation, because the first time I got a letter from an attorney, I thought, I was like, oh my God, I'm going bankrupt. What's going to happen? They're going to come take it all away from me. And he's like, shut up. We're just going to call my buddy who's an attorney. We're going to be fine. And now I call Vinny with all my attorney issues. Which there's not a lot. It sounds like, trust me, I'm not like, you know, Trump, where Trump's like, oh, I'm gonna sue him. I'm gonna sue him 20 times. I'm gonna sue them all. This was the beginning of when I started adopting. John asked me a great question. Was there like a certain model or mindset things, like what has changed? And this was the beginning of like where some of like these traps that I talk about, like the step ladder, the education, and the approval trap. I know I'm jumping around a little bit, so bear with me. This was the beginning of me adopting the mindset that I did not have to abide by anyone's approval system. And this concept of sequential linear thinking was just total, utter bullshit that people taught us. Like, there's zero reason for any of us to move slow at anything we do. And when I say slow, it's in comparison to what 99% of the population is doing. Stuff worth doing might take time, but that doesn't mean you have to elongate it to be accustomed to everyone else's norm.
This episode is sponsored by Marine D3. If you want 24-hour antioxidant protection while giving your brain, eyes, heart, and overall energy a jolt of long-lasting nourishment, then Marine D3 is for you. This is my #1 top-selling health product that I've sold over 500,000 bottles, and right now, 80% of our sales come from repeat customers. Marine D3 can flood your cells with an abundance of new antioxidants and nutrients that fights and repairs damage done to the cells during exercise, everyday living, and the natural breakdown that occurs as we age. After 15 years of research and over $39 million spent on clinical studies, a renowned biochemist has found one of the world's greatest antioxidants. It's called CNLP, hiding deep below the ocean's surface. I took CNLP, combined it with a little-known omega-3 called calamine, as well as vitamin D3, so that you can get maximum benefit all in one supplement. I'd like to give you the first bottle absolutely free. I just ask that you pay shipping and handling. At edokeefeshow.com/free bottle, I'll have a mini presentation that will share more about the supplement and why people are raving about it. Most importantly, it'll show you exactly how you can get it shipped out to you today, just for shipping and handling. This episode is brought to you by Dormant Forces Insider. If you would like monthly big business breakthroughs, insider marketing strategies that actually work, and mindset secrets of multimillionaires sent directly to your door so you can have it in your hands and you can apply them, then this is for you. Now, you can test drive my Dormant Forces Insider Silver membership for just 1 month free. If you love it, we know you'll stay with it and let it keep you in the loop of what's working inside my businesses and the other dozens and dozens of businesses that I mentor. Why would you go at it all on your own when you can use other people's experience than just replicate what works? Anyhow, right now you can test drive the membership for just $1 plus a few bucks shipping and handling by going to edokeefeshow.com/dormant forces. That's edokeefeshow.com/dormant forces.
And thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the podcast. You can find the show notes for this episode as well as all the other podcast episodes by heading on over to edokeefeshow.com. If you would, please go subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and leave a rating and review. Rating and reviews truly are the best way for you to show your appreciation for the show because they help more people find out about the podcast and decide if this is the one for them. So until next week, it's time for you to go out there, take action, and inspire the world.